Have you ever wondered how you'll be able to tell that XRP is at or near its peak for a market cycle so that you don't accidentally miss that? Well, there are a number of things that you can look at, but there's one particular metric that I want to talk about. And one XRP chart analyst notes that as it pertains to XRP finally rocketing, he said, "Takes time, but it's coming." And that's a direct quote. And who am I to argue with that? But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. As I record this video, Bitcoin's just under $71,000, so a little bit of a down day. Got XRP down to $1.46, but it is not going to matter. These prices are going to look dirt cheap in the future. The market cap for the asset class is only $2.35 trillion. That's so small you might as well round down to zero. You know, if you factor in every single financial asset on the planet, including real estate, you can get slightly different numbers depending on who's tabulating everything. But there's probably about $750 trillion worth of financial assets in existence, which means that crypto today only makes up 0.3% of all financial assets on the planet. 0.3%, that's almost nothing. Do you see why there's opportunity? There's so much. Eventually, we're going to have a market cap for this asset class that's over $10 trillion. And then it will be tens of trillions of dollars. And then it will be one day over $100 trillion. I firmly believe that. And that's why even if XRP only had about a 4% market dominance, which is about where we are right now, that would just be buck wild in terms of what that means for price. Now, truth be told, I think there will be moments in time where XRP's dominance percentage is going to be a fair bit higher than that. But I want to share with you this post from the blockchain backer. And this is so true. So one of his first post here, I actually mentioned the same thing the other day in a video. We exited extreme fear. Look at this. He wrote, out of extreme fear for the first time since January, your alpha will never be news headlines. And so indeed the other day, I actually didn't check it today, so I don't know if it's up or down. Probably down because the market's a little bit down right now. But for at least for one day, we left extreme fear on the crypto fear and greed index and entered just regular old fear at 28 out of 100. Not bad considering recently we'd seen all-time lows at 5 out of 100, extreme fear. And so he's right about this. Your alpha will never be news headlines. That's right. Because when we get to the point where legacy media, for example, mainstream media, is telling you all about XRP and how it's amazing, this or that, those moments are typically when you should be most fearful and there's the greatest risk to purchase it because it's probably already run up a bit in price. And then on the flip side, when price is in the gutter and they're telling you, it's dead, and so on and so forth, it's just going to get worse. Those are actually typically moments of maximum opportunity. And see, so the blockchain backer was basically pointing that out. You can see here, it looks like this was January 6th. That's when XRP hit its high for this entire year, 2026. And I think what did it get up to? Was it like $2.40? It's probably around there, something like that. Well, what headline did you get? On that day, this is from CNBC, why XRP is the new cryptocurrency darling. And then down here, February 28th, look at this headline from CNBC also. Explosions heard across the Middle East as Iran retaliates against U.S. attacks. Flights disrupted. And so that was the time when we were supposed to be super duper scared. If we're invested in crypto, it's the end of the world. It's just going to get worse, except for that's just not true. And we've only surged a little bit higher since that scary news happened. But if you look under the hood, XRP has never been more healthy. The fundamentals have never been stronger. Take a look at this post from Evernorth. Evernorth, of course, is the largest public XRP treasury company on the planet. It's headed by CEO Ashish Birla, who was one of Ripple's earliest employees, and he was with them for a very, very, very long time. Well, look what this account said today. Read this before you react to the Fed today. And as I mentioned in a couple videos ago, the Fed, of course, didn't adjust the federal funds rate, just staying flat. Market didn't seem to care a whole lot. I wasn't expecting them to. This was not a surprise. It wasn't a surprise. But take a look at these facts. This is from Evernorth. XRP surpassed 7.7 million non-empty wallets for the first time in its 13-year history, with active addresses hitting a 5-week peak of 46,767 on March 16th. Tokenized commodities on XRP. This is amazing. Tokenized commodities on XRP have grown from $111 million to $1.14 billion with a B in 2026, giving XRP over 15% of global tokenized commodities. Folks, think about that. Think about how many blockchains are in existence, and our beloved blockchain, the XRP ledger, has 15% dominance for this particular category. So now, imagine another 5 years out, another 10 years out, because there's only going to be a handful, I would expect there are only going to be a handful of truly dominant blockchains in terms of tokenizing real world assets. And first of all, the XRP ledger is perfectly suited for this. And it's been battle tested. The XRP ledger is something that you can't code into a blockchain, which is just time. It's existed for almost 14 years. And so, it just works. Well, that's going to instill a lot more confidence than a brand new blockchain, obviously, with no track record whatsoever. So, of course, people will flock to chains that have shown that staying power. And if it really functionally, it works perfectly for this use case, yes, of course, it's going to keep getting adopted. And this is happening. This is something we've believed in the XRP community going back over a freaking decade. We were right about it. It just took the world a long time to catch up, but now it's expanding. That's what's so exciting about this. And so the more useful XRP becomes, the more people, I believe, will ultimately be interested in considering investing in XRP. As additional people, businesses, and institutions want to diversify and invest in the crypto asset class, it only makes sense that those coins like XRP that are useful are going to get a certain piece of the pie. And certainly the smart money, the whales, they get it. Take a look at this. Look at this post going back to 2017. This is cool. This is from chart analyst CW. Korea is one of the influential countries in altcoin trading, excluding Ethereum, XRP, BNB, and Solana in the KRW pair. The trading volume of altcoins is significantly larger than in the previous cycle. Furthermore, a strong buying wall has been formed. Whales on Korean exchanges have been forming a buying wall for over 3 years, absorbing selling volume from retail investors. Look forward to the altcoin season of this bull market. So he's looking forward to there being a proper alt season. And that's the environment in which XRP absolutely will thrive. Look, XRP has not had an opportunity to prove what it can do in an alt season since 2018. We missed last market cycle, so that's the only other opportunity there's been. But it was being attacked by the SEC, so we weren't going to see anything great out of XRP then, unfortunately. We've had exactly zero opportunities since then. Ever since XRP's got its legal clarity, we have had zero opportunities to show what XRP can do in an alt season because there hasn't been one. We just need to see one alt season, and I do not think we're going to be disappointed here. And take a look at this, and this is what I was referencing at the outset of the video. This is from chart analyst Melius. This is an XRP dominance chart here, market dominance percentage. And you can see as he posted this the other day, XRP's market dominance was 3.72%. So pretty close to 4. It's been hovering between, for most of the last year and a half, it's been between 4 to 5.5%, roughly, for most of the time anyway. So not too far off from that right now. But he simply wrote here, takes time, but it's coming. And what is he noting? Well, if you look at this lightly shaded area here, this yellow range here, and it goes back a number of years. It's been a long time period. He's basically arguing that this is the accumulation range. Anywhere in here, and you know the price that XRP has been within this range. It's been all over the place. And so that was a key time. Then obviously it broke out in 2024. And so now it's a little bit above where he's saying that particular accumulation range was. And fair enough, he can market that way. I personally would argue that where we are right now, even though this is a dominance chart, not a dollar chart, I think it's very clear that the smart money is treating where we are in terms of XRP price as a reaccumulation zone. It's very obvious. I mean, no shortage of data. XRP whales have been purchasing the ever-loving hell out of XRP. And so it's not an opinion, that's a fact. And I've shared that data along the way. And it's always fun to highlight that stuff. So it is happening. They're happy to purchase XRP when it fell from its all-time high to a little over $2. And as it fell more, they were happy to purchase below $2. And they're very happy to purchase with XRP hanging out between $1.40 and $1.50. Because the smart money knows price ain't going to stay here forever. It just isn't. So what about this, though? Look at this red box. Area to offload all your remaining XRP. So if you're wondering how to tell Not that there's one metric to like rule them all. I'm not arguing that. But how can you tell when the market has peaked for XRP? Well, I think this is a pretty fair range. This is probably pretty realistic. He's basically saying when the market gets so overheated that XRP dominance goes from 3.72% to anywhere from 13 to 18.5%, that means that's it. When there's that much market dominance for XRP, and I can only imagine what the price in terms of USD is going to be. So I'm going to be looking at this. XRP is going to be ridiculously overbought, and I am going to be cognizant of this. And it's my ideally, I would like to be sufficiently enticed to sell all of my XRP this market cycle. I would love for that to be the case. And then when we enter a new bear market, then I'm just going to buy a boatload of XRP back. I'll just start dollar cost averaging in like I did way back starting in 2017. I'm just going to do it all over again. But I think this is a pretty reasonable expectation about where we may be going. So, XRP dominance, its all-time high was around like 32 or 33% back in 2017, early 2018. I don't think you're going to see that ever again. And I think that it was pretty well articulated here by Malleus. This is in line with what I've been arguing for years. Because somebody here wrote to him, you don't think that, if it reaches that 15 to 20% range, that things might have shifted in the macro crypto space where its percentage might actually be higher. So he's actually, basically this guy's asking, don't you think that XRP's dominance would actually go higher than where he put the red box here? And he says no, because it gets tougher for an asset to gain more share over time, given the fact that space is getting bigger with more projects entering the system. Yeah, and that's all it is. So it's not a dig against XRP. And so in terms of dollars, it can still go through the roof. But there are so many other cryptocurrencies in existence that they are going to dominate a certain percentage of the market. But back in 2017, there were only, in late 2017, there was something like 1,600 cryptocurrencies in existence. And now there are like tens of thousands of tradable coins that are tracked on like CoinMarketCap and Live Coin Watch. So yeah, the percentage is going to be smaller. But think about this. If you're talking about tripling or maybe quadrupling the dominance, well, based on what the market cap is right now, you know what that would do? That would put XRP, if you're talking about quadrupling, it would be almost $6 per XRP. But that's at the current market cap. That's if XRP had 4 times the market dominance, so 15 to it'd probably be about 15% if you quadrupled it from where it is now. So if XRP had 15% market cap, it would jump up to $6. But that doesn't mean it's going to peak there, because that's, again, with the market cap being what it is now. The market cap for the asset class is $2.35 trillion. Well, what if the market cap for the asset class is double that, or triple that, or quadruple that? Like, what if we do get to a $10 trillion market cap? Well, then you're going to see XRP, instead of closer to $6, or $5 or $6, you're going to be seeing it more like $10, $15, or $20 if it hits that percentage dominance. Because it would have, again, 15% of a larger number is more. So that's the way math works. So not at all unreasonable to speculate that it might happen. Now, I don't make price predictions. I admit I don't know where the price of XRP is going to go, but I think it's going way higher than this, or else I wouldn't be holding it. And I'm just telling you, like, if we get up in that range, that's going to start to make me a bit nervous that we are approaching the top. Anywhere up in that range, I'm going to start to be very nervous that we're probably getting towards the later stages of this thing. And it can happen quickly. Don't forget, I mean, based on historic precedent, it would be reasonable for XRP, once the final rally for XRP starts, lasting anywhere 2, 3, 4 weeks, that's all you get. That's it. So if you want to exit, and if history is to rhyme with itself, roughly speaking, then it might be the case that you're going to have 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks to unload whatever XRP you want to unload. So we'll see what it looks like, but it's coming. I mean, he wrote here, it takes time, but it's coming. Yeah, so this is a lot longer than what most of us were ever hoping that we would have to wait for. Fine, but we don't get to choose how long these market cycles are. We didn't get to choose that we missed the last market cycle. It is what it is, but it is coming. Of that, I have no doubt. Here's a post from chart analyst Bert. He said, we look good here, XRP holders. Should push up again soon. Lock in. And so in the short term, he's talking about pushing up closer towards $1.75. So he's thinking the chart's looking pretty damn good. Here's a post from chart analyst Austin. XRP couldn't hold the white box up at $1.50. Now back down, testing the green box at around $1.45. Yeah, so that's where we are as I record this. Nothing's broken here. He's certainly obviously not concerned. There are some analysts who think that we could go a little bit lower before rocketing higher. Chart Nerd is one of the guys that thinks it's at least possible we could do that, but he is still an XRP bull. He wrote, maybe round 4 before we score XRP. And so you can see what he's been highlighting. XRP basically bouncing off this trend line dating back to like the last 6 years. So wondering if we're going to have to bounce off that again. If that's the case, you may end up seeing XRP below $1. And in this separate post, he wrote, an XRP drop in the next few months to 80 cents to 70 cents before a euphoric climb would be a huge blessing in disguise. This specific formation would potentially replicate a 2017 style drop and run. Look at the similarities. And so you can see he is targeting ultimately, $27 is what he's written in other posts. And you can see that's about what it would be reaching based on what he plopped down here as a fractal. I do not know if $27 will be hit this market cycle, but I firmly believe that is perfectly reasonable to speculate about. Oh, and I also acknowledge I could be wrong and XRP could go to 0. I don't know. I do not know what's going to happen, but I have well-placed conviction I do believe. I could not be more confident about the long-term viability of XRP itself. So clearly, the best is yet ahead. And so when I was showing you all this data from chart analyst Melius about XRP dominance, doesn't that help you to get an idea of just like how quickly things can jump up and how it's really not that big of an ask? Because we've seen XRP dominance 8 times higher than this. And so fine, I don't think we're going to see XRP dominance 8 times higher than where it is now ever again. I doubt it. But what about 4 times higher? And then you can see what that means for price. Again, even just 15 or 16% dominance when you have an asset class that's worth, say, $5 trillion, $6 trillion, $7 trillion, $10 trillion. That's some massive